From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. It is Monday, the 27th of November, and man, we are getting close to the end of the year, and boy, oh boy, it's that time. It's that time of the year, and well, we have our second casualty when it comes to the head coaching ranks, and that's going to be Frankie Reich has been fired as the HC of the Carolina Panthers. So pretty much now, you have a situation where you have a now interim coach in place, young guy who's, is play caller and everything like that. Actually, Chris Tober is going to be the intermediate head coach as the interim coach as at the moment. Chris Tober, it was a very good special teams coach for a very long time. He was the elite. He was one of these guys that was able to stick around with staffs even when that staff got fired. And I know this because he used to work in Cleveland, and he was a part of the Josh Cribbs run of some sorts when they were like one of the better special teams in the league, but one of the worst teams in the league at the same time too. So Chris Turber knows how to put a group together and get them, playing good football. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. They also have Jim Codwell in place as a executive assistant as well too, who's going to be, helping out the play calling as well, making things a little bit more easier and things like that. But, when you look at things, you say to yourself, Frank Reich had no business being the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. He had no business being hired back as a head coach right away. I know a lot of people liked what he did with the coach, but you know what? The coach didn't do anything but go to the first round and lose. Okay, it's that simple. Yeah, they went 11-5 on a down year in the division as well too. And so pretty much, a lot of people sat up here and they're kind of mad for Frank Reich this morning, but I'm not. I felt like Frank Reich was a guy that they gave this job to because it felt like a buddy pass, a buddy situation, and you felt comfortable with him at this point in time with the quarterback that you had in place to get him to become the leader of this team. I feel like a lot of people do not really understand what's going on in Carolina. They want to just make up their own narratives of what's going on in Carolina. Carolina has given the team to Bryce Young, and y'all got to get over it. And Bryce Young was not supplied with any playmakers. I know that a lot of people feel that C.J. Stroud would have probably been a better choice to go to Carolina, all that good stuff. But you know what? He would be in the same situation as well, too. You got old Adam Thielen, and then the rookie receivers, the young receivers that you have in place are not those guys. It's just that simple. They're just not making the transition to the NFL the way that they thought that they were. And so at the end of the day, it's a very significant sight to see that it's all about the personnel that you have in place. And, Frank Reich, I never really seen him motivating these guys. They were motivated maybe 1, 2 or 3 weeks out of the situation by their head coach. And their head coach sometimes looked very clueless of what to do next. And, it's really bad when you have an offense that's only getting 10, 13 points a game. And you know that you can be so much better than that because you can be a little bit more deceptive. But you know what? It is what it is. And sometimes you just have to go through trial by fire to get to your end success. And that's how I feel with Bryce Young right now. You know what I mean? And I think that, if you put him on another roster in the NFL, he probably would have been a bit better. But at the end of the day, the Panthers set themselves up to lose this year because they had no intentions of winning. So it's just that simple. So you guys can't get so mad about the situation, but Frank Reich was absolutely useless. Let's just keep it real. And that's why he got fired. And, at the end of the day, you didn't even have to wait for the last 6 weeks of the season to do this. You just do it now so we can just get it out of the way. It's that simple. And, it's not that he just got fired. You go talk to players, you go evaluate the situation, and the players just didn't trust them. And it's just that simple. And you know what? At the end of the day, it is what it is, and we move forward from there. All right. So pretty much with that, we move on to the Bolt report. And here we go. Bolts dropped their third straight, losing on SNF 20-10. Will Staley finish the season? Well, we all know that the Ravens are the best team in football right now, not named the Eagles. They are 9-3 in their division. They haven't been off at all this year, and that just goes to show you how good this team truly is and how they thoroughly go about their business. And yesterday was no excuse to that. There was a lot of things that the Chargers could have done much better in that game, but they did run into a team that plays very physical, tough defense that really brought the hammer to the Chargers. And you know what? It was very significant from the start of the game that this was going to be a physical, tough game, and it played right into the Ravens' hands. This is just that simple. The Ravens are a team that will sit up in here. They can go shoot it out with you, go back and forth on points, or they can go ahead and just have one of these gutsy games where, it's a slobber knocker, as they like to say. And funny thing is, this was probably the best defensive game plan that the Chargers had all season. They held MVP candidate to 77 yards passing yesterday. And that's just incredible in itself that they were able to do that. And, the Ravens didn't have much offense yesterday because they literally were shut down for most of that game. But the thing was that their defense kept saving the day. They forced 4 fumbles yesterday. And that was the difference in winning and losing this game. And and when you look at it, you can't sit up here and keep blaming the coach for why these guys keep making mistakes. This is a week in and week out situation. The Chargers have been like this for the last decade. And, yesterday I felt like they had a lot of stage fright. They knew how important this game was. They've dropped 2 in a row. This is a must-win situation, and they did not win the game. And then what happens at the end, they weren't able to get the Ravens off the field. They were able to even get the opportunity to either tie or win the game with Justin, with the kicker for the Ravens missing yesterday, Justin Tucker. So, that was key. And you thought, hey, this is the time. Chargers about to take this ball down the field and have a miracle finish so they can save their season. And now they have to look into next week and get ready for another game, a game that looks like that they should be able to win. But, you just don't want to keep being in this situation. And I truly do feel that, there's no more excuses right now for Brandon Staley. You know what I mean? I don't say fire the guy right now because it's just really not smart to do. But, if you fire him, you know who you're going to make the head coach at the end of the day, and that's going to be Kellen Moore. And Kellen Moore would be now pretty much, showing if he can be the next leader of the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers really want to go out and look for a new head coach. I think that what they would do is they would promote within, if anything. And I truly do feel that this Chargers team, if was the other way around, you would still be saying fire the coach, because you guys have this everybody's mind is made up that Brandon Staley's not the guy for the Chargers. And even though the Chargers have been a really middling team in every definition of the word over the last few years, because nobody can say they're more middling than the Chargers at this point. But the Chargers have a elite roster, and that's what really kills everybody, that this team can't be the team that they have been built to be. That's why it's like you're not firing the GM because he's doing a great job. The scouting department, they're doing a great job. It's just that they're not putting it together to win games consistently. And this season was a make or break season. We all knew that going in. And I feel like the evaluation at this point, when you get to the end of the year, you finish up 8-9, 9-8, then you know what? Staley's probably going to wind up getting fired, okay? Even with the winning record this year. And I think that he has no choice right now but to win out. If he wins out, then they possibly steal the final playoff spot. But right now, they just have to take it one game at a time and put themselves in position to actually be able to win these games late and not just be on the field with the chance to win the game late. I just really feel like their 2-minute situation has just been so bad all season long. And it seems like they get beat with the same play. The outside corner blitz, just every single time. The outside corner blitz, unblocked. Nobody is paying attention, and Herbert's over there on the ground. So it's just it's a big struggle this year. It's a big disappointment because you expected so much from the Chargers this year. And you know what? They have to go ahead and they have to make the proper changes at the end of the year to put this team in position to be an elite team, not a team that's just good enough to be on Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football. You want the Chargers to be much better than what they are, but you keep saying to yourself, they keep changing coaches and it keeps being the same damn song. So hopefully they can change the song with the new regime if that is to happen. So with that, we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our next topic, and it's going to be this. The Rams get a big win, put themselves back in the hunt for the playoffs, beating the Cards 37-14. This was a very, very good win for the Rams. Rams have had their way in Arizona since they got to Los Angeles, though. They probably lost once since they played against the Cardinals in Arizona. And I think they probably only lost to Arizona about 3 times since moving to Los Angeles. This has been an absolute just square on the schedule for many years for the Rams, man. And yesterday was no different. They went ahead and they absolutely annihilated. And this looks very good on the resume. They swept Seattle this year. They've been able to beat Arizona. They did lose to San Francisco, but at the end of the day, they are 3-1 in the division. And they are a game behind now the Seahawks. So this puts them in a position to where they can be right in the hunt of things. You know what I mean? They can be right there because Minnesota's shaky, in my opinion. You know what I mean? We'll talk a little bit more about that on the show tomorrow. We'll see how they do tonight, but I feel like they're a little shaky now because Josh Dobbs, the feel-good story of Josh Dobbs is great, but he's still limited at the same time, too. There's the reason why he's a backup in this league and not a starter. Okay, so you have that. And then, Matt Stafford was absolutely balling yesterday. He's had his woes against the Cardinals, but not yesterday. He wound up going 25 for 33, throwing for 229 yards, and then threw for 4 touchdowns as well, too. He had an interception, but you know what? Who cares? They absolutely crushed these boys 37-14. He had a 121.1 QBR as well, too. Kyron Williams was an absolute monster yesterday. 16 carries, 143 yards. Royce Freeman was so good yesterday as well, too. He had 77 yards on 13 attempts. So when you look up at that stat right there, this team had 221 yards on the ground yesterday between those 2 running backs. So this was just a much-needed win and a much-needed thorough win for this team as well. Puka Nacua did not do Puka Nacua things yesterday or Cooper Kupp, but still, they were able to keep things very honest with the Cardinals. And Tutu Atwell, Kyron Williams, and Higbee were able to take advantage of that situation. And you know what? They were able to spread the ball around, and they just had a really great, thorough game yesterday. It just was really good. Turner had 2 sacks himself. Hoek had a sack himself as well, too. Johnson also had a sack. Then, 25 first downs to 19 first downs yesterday. They were able to connect on 50% of their third downs as well, too. That's always going to help you win games. They were 100% on 4th downs as well. They gave up 292 yards and gained 457. And then it was from a well-balanced passing and rushing game, 229 and 228. delivered, and they only ran 2 more plays than the Cardinals and still beat them by 23 points. That looks like the Super Bowl Rams that we knew a few years ago. But you know what? Once again, this team is in a one game at a time phase. Next week is Cleveland, who comes in here 7-4, but Cleveland might be an easier target this week because they don't have their starting quarter. They're probably going to be without DTR this week as the starting quarterback, and then you got to get down to who's going to be the starter, PJ or Joe Flacco. You know what I mean? And I know that both those guys probably present the element that they're not going to do that well come Sunday. But you know what? The Browns still carry a very good defense. If everything can be in place, then this game can be a lot closer than it looks on paper. But right now, the Rams have opened up as a 4.5-point favorite because you know what? The Rams have pretty much found their mojo right now, and lines makers have caught that, and they're back at home as well too. They're going against a Cleveland team that everybody feels that's reeling. So this is a huge game for them coming up on Sunday. Then they fly out to Baltimore. That's a very important game for them to try to go ahead and pull off an upset there. Then they got back-to-back home games against the Commanders and the Saints, and then they finish up on the road at the end of the year. They got a New Year's Eve meeting with the Giants, and then they have themselves a meeting with San Francisco on the 7th of January 2024 to end the season, and they have not came up with the actual time for that game. So that game may be flexed into the Sunday night football game as possibly a game that the Rams need to win to go ahead and get into the playoffs. But right now, I would say this: when I look at the end of the season for the Rams, when you really do look at this situation, you can say that if they win their next 4 out of 6, they should be able to sneak into the playoffs with a 9-8 record. That's what I'm looking at right now. If they are able to do anything better than that, then they're definitely in the playoffs. But we will see. The race is hot and heavy, and you know what? It's fun. This is the best time of the year. I love this time of the year, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But the Rams, big win. Excitement has returned to the House of SoFi. So, you know, there's a lot of things to be excited about when it comes to being a Rams fan, because the Rams were actually kind of, you know, written off a few weeks back when they went to 3-6. Now, you know, they've won the last 2 in a row, both divisional wins. This team is confident. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. We move forward from there. Let's go ahead and talk about our next topic, which is going to be the Falcons now sit atop the NFC South after beating the Saints 24-15. Now, the Saints, you know, this team is very dysfunctional in my opinion right now. I don't think that they really like their quarterback that much. Even though their quarterback and head coach are attached at the hip, they have a great understanding, but it seems that everybody else has this idea that Jameis Winston should be the starter of this team. I keep saying to myself, I think Taysom Hill should be the starter of this team. I really do know that if he would have never got, you know, suspended earlier in the season, they would have really tried to give Jake Hayner an opportunity to seize this job. But you know why Derek Carr hasn't been benched or anything of that nature? Is because Derek Carr still is throwing for 200 and 300 yards per game as well too. They're not scoring a lot of points. There's a lot of dumb penalties that occur with this team. There's a lot of dumb turnovers that occur with this team as well too. And so pretty much I don't think it's just mostly on Carr. This is a whole team situation. And there's a lot of times where their defenses have played over aggressive to keep defenses on the field. The Saints, if they could all be together, if it wasn't such a cluster F, it would be probably one of the better teams in the NFC. But right now, they're not, because this team is actually struggling. They're 1-2 in the division. While you have an Atlanta team, nobody's talking about this, but they're undefeated. They beat everybody. They beat Carolina first game of the season. They were able to beat the Bucks in Tampa Bay, and then they also were able to just beat the Saints. Now they're 3-0. This team should be confident because they're not playing to worry about, you know, going 10-7, 9-8. Now they're in a position to where they have the division in sight, and they know that everybody pretty much has the same record. They're 5-6. You have a 5-6 team in them. You have a 5-6 team in the Saints. You have a 4-7 team in the Bucks. So you have a wide open race right now. But the team that's the leader in the clubhouse when it comes to the actual divisional wins is the Falcons. They've played better football now since they went back to Desmond Ridder as the starter. And, Desmond Ridder is one of the best home quarterbacks in the league as well, too. He was able to do some good things yesterday. He didn't throw for 300 yards or anything like that, but he kept down his turnovers yesterday. And you know what was big for the Falcons was that they finally handed the ball to Bijan Robinson more than 10 times. Bijan Robinson and Algier were absolutely incredible yesterday. They were able to get 200 and some odd yards for this Falcons team. The Falcons really did take advantage of the run game yesterday, which is their bread and butter this year. And then they were able to, put together some good passing plays that was able to make things honest all game long. And then the highlight of the game was a great pass from Ridder, who was under a lot of pressure, throws up a lob pass to Bijan Robinson, who is so fast that it was easy for him to run up under this catch to go ahead and put the Falcons ahead. But the Falcons have learned how to win these gritty, grimy games, and that's what it's all about. And I think that when you look at who is the favorite to really win this division right now, it has to be the Falcons. You know what I mean? The Saints are playing great football when they want to, but when they're not playing great football, they're a very stagnant team. And I truly do feel that they are on the brink of either ascending and letting this be motivation, or they're on the brink of descending to where this becomes 8-9 year we missed the playoffs. I don't know, or a 7-10 season and we missed the playoffs. All in all, the Saints have to figure something out. The Falcons, on the other hand, they have just went through the cycle. They started off 2-0. They wound up losing 4 in a row. They wound up winning 2 in a row. Then they wound up losing 2 in a row. This team is really, really trying their best to salvage a season where they had a lot of expectations, and that was winning a division title. You know what I mean? Because they knew that they had a wide open division, and you had the best running game in the division as well too. And this division has been settled on great running games over the last decade. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But right now, Atlanta's sitting on top of the NFC South division, and you know what? They're probably not going to be getting the most love from the talking heads this week for being that. But you know what? You got love from me because you guys, I see you out there trying. I see you out there playing every week. I see you out there trying to be much better than what they expect you to be. And that's always something I tip my cap to. So let's move forward and get to our final topic here, which is a good one. Before we go to our first commercial break, and this is going to be the Eagles pull off another victory late, this time winning in OT 37-34 against the Bills. The Bills should have won this game yesterday. Let's keep it real. And, I'm not saying this because I'm an Eagles hater or anything like that. I don't hate the Eagles. I think the Eagles are one of the funner teams in the NFL, one of the funner franchises of all time. But all in all, though, yesterday they know that they got away with one. This one should have been a Bills win. The Bills went up 10 points in this game twice, and then they were unable to keep the lead. The Bills lost the lead within 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. They're up 24-14. You got a little comfortable. You felt like, okay, it's bad weather right now. This should be what does it for the Bills. But you know what? The Eagles got a lot of pride, and they got a lot of confidence in themselves. And their play callers got a lot of confidence in the plays that they call as well, too. And so pretty much what happened is that they set up everything in the right direction going into the fourth quarter, and then they wound up getting themselves 2 touchdowns, and then they were able to also get a late 60-yard field goal that pushed the game into overtime. Even though the Bills were able to stay up there and keep going back and forth, They were able to get the early field goal in overtime, but Jalen Hurts runs in a touchdown dramatically to win the game, 37-34, and the Eagles train continues. This team is 9-1 right now, 10-1 right now, and they just are playing the type of football that you have to play at this time of the year and in the playoffs. They have a can't quit mentality. They're not dead yet. That's what type of team this is at the end of the day. And they took advantage of a Bills team that they knew who would probably hand back over the game if they just kept playing. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. So, you look at this Eagles team, they got the San Francisco 49ers coming in this weekend. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a great rematch. That's going to be the talk of all these shows and all these blogs and all these podcasts about who's going to win between the Eagles and 49ers. Will this be the who settles the NFC? Will this be the precursor to the NFC championship rematch? Will this be cool off period for the Eagles since they've been playing such good football and winning these games that really they should have lost? So, there's just a lot of things that you ask about going into this game. Then you ask, are the Bills cooked yet? Are they done yet? Is it over yet? Can they get into the playoffs still? The Bills have 5 games left after week 13 because they don't play next week. They actually finally get the week off. This is something that they've really been needing. They're a 6-6 team. I know what they're going to tell themselves going into this final portion of the year where they only have one real square there. They got to go against the Cowboys. They got to go against the Miami Dolphins. They have to play against the Dallas Cowboys. This is a tough schedule moving forward. But you know what? At the end of the day, they're supposed to be one of the better teams in the league. And I think that if they finish out with a, say, 4-1 record and finish up the season at 10-7, they shouldn't have any issues getting into the playoffs. And if they can win going out, if they can sheet these final 5 games, then they should be able to be right there in the second hole as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. If you're a Bills fan, don't quit on them yet because the Bills still have the talent that says that they can run 5 in a row, even though who they're going up against, it looks like it's really tough. But those teams, 3 of them are already settled into their playoff situation. Let's keep it real. The only team in that group that's kind of an eliminator game for them, the one that that they got to be up for it, is the Chargers. So it's going to be a lot of fun here at the end of the year. We're going to preview that San Francisco Eagles game tomorrow on NFL Bet Exchange. So make sure you guys do not miss because that's going to be a good, thorough talk between me and Jeff when it comes down to the winner of that game and who probably is the real leader of the NFC going into the final month of the season as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take our commercial break. When I get back, we're going to go ahead and jump into some NBA. We got the State of the Lakers and we got the NBA Monday night. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Captain.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Captain, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we're back. Let's go ahead and jump into the state of the Lakers. And the state of the Lakers brings us here. We got a big one tonight between the Lakers and the 76ers. The 76ers, looking pretty good this year. They are coming in here as probably the best team in the Eastern Conference right now. You know what I mean? Because they have a pretty good situation. They got Tyrese Maxey, a guy that they drafted. Joel Embiid, a guy that they drafted. No more renegades on this team. It's all about the guys that were brought to Philly to win in Philly, not guys that want to piggyback off of winning in Philly. So pretty much this team is now in order. They're in order now. They got a really good coach, you know what I mean, and Nick Nurse. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Doc Rivers is a great politician of the game. But when it comes to actually coaching you up to a damn win and not having 6 other Hall of Famers, then it's not going to happen for you, okay? It's just not. This guy's blown 3-1 series left and right. It's just something you got to get over. Nick Nurse is a guy that demands things from players. He doesn't do the coddling. He doesn't do I want to be the best players coach there possibly is. Nick Nurse likes to win basketball games, and he puts guys on the court that can help him win basketball games. That's why Philadelphia is a much better story this year, and they got the dead weight out of there. James Harden was an absolute waste of time, and I hate to say that about a guy that I do admire his game, you know what I mean? And I think that, before he was moved from Houston, he was a guy with one of the better attitudes in the NBA of, leading a team and being there to lead his team and all that good stuff. But ever since he's moved on to Brooklyn and then Philadelphia, now he's in Los Angeles, he's just been a real diva. You know what I mean? Like in every sense of the word. But let's break down the notes that I have for this game. Lakers coming in here 10-7. Lakers have been kind of back and forth their last few games and everything like that. But they did start off the month pretty good. They started off the month with winning games right away. And, they've been able to put together 2 3-game winning streaks as well, too, this month. So, their record winds up being 8-5 in the month of December. They're 7-10 on the year against the spread. When it comes to road games, they're 4-4 against the spread. And then they're also 3-5 straight up on the road. So it's 6-11 over under as well, too. So they went under in 11 out of their 17 games. Now, the Sixers coming here 11-5. They're 11-5 against the spread as well, too. And they are 6-3 against the spread and straight up at home. And then they're 9-4 in the month of November. And then they've went over in 10 out of their 16 games. When I look at this one tonight, I think that what we do here is we play the under. I think the Lakers are going to be playing some pretty good defense because they're a little shorthanded tonight. No rule. Cam's a game time decision at this moment. And you know what? You're going to have to depend a lot on Austin Reeves tonight. You're going to have to get some extra work from Jackson Hayes and Christian Wood like he did on Saturday against Cleveland. Those guys were huge to the victory. They were able to together combined for 36 points. That was about 30% of the Lakers scoring output in that game. That was so needed right there. But AD had the biggest game with 32 points. And I feel like he can carry that into Philly because he always seems to play very inspired when he goes against Joel Embiid. Last year when he played in Philly, I think he scored 56 points. So this year, let's see if he can try to somewhat duplicate that same effort again and get the Lakers a nice win here against the Philadelphia 76ers. This will be a good quality win on the season. And the Lakers really just got to play hard. That's what I want to see them do tonight. And win or lose, just play hard and just keep this rapport going to where this team is confident in themselves and they're confident in their other teammates as well, too. The Lakers were a little shaky here in the first 10 games because they were still getting to know each other. Now they seem to get the memo that this guy likes to do this and this guy likes to do that, and we're somewhat now off and running. So hopefully the Lakers can get themselves on a nice little streak here on the road, and they already got good things started with beating the Cavs on Saturday. So hopefully tonight they can go ahead and get themselves a good quality win over a very, very good 76ers team that sits atop of the Eastern Conference. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. We move forward from there. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our next, which is going to be the NBA Monday night. Up first, we got Wizards at Pistons. Wizards and Pistons both for 2-14, over under 235.5. The Pistons are the favorite tonight as well too. When I look at my notes, you got a Wizards team that's actually pretty good against the spread. They're 7-9 against the spread, and then you have a team that on the road they're 6-3 against the spread. So these are pretty good numbers for the Wizards when it comes to the spread, because their spreads have been literally like 7.5 or better all year. And then when you look at the month of November for this team, they're 1-12 this month. And also they're 1-8 straight up on the road this year as well too. But when it comes to the over-under, of course, they have more overs than unders. They have went over in 10 of their 16 games. You got the Pistons, who are 2-14 as well too. They're 7-9 against the spread as well. They're 3-4 against the spread at home. And they're another team that's only won one game this month. They're also 1-12. And then you have a 1-6 straight up record at home. And when it comes down to over under, they are just like the Wizards. They have went over in 10 out of their 16 games. So how am I doing this game tonight? The way I see this game setting up tonight is like this. I see this game setting up to be a very, very strategic matchup in a sense, but I like the Wizards as my dog of the day today. I think that the Wizards have been getting a little bit of the shit end of the stick a little bit, and I think that today is a good day for them to walk into an arena against a team that's going through the same woes as them and get themselves a good win. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, but we got the Wizards tonight with the plus 125 as our dog of the day. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our next, which is going to be the Pacers and the Blazers. And the Pacers are coming into this one at home, 9-6, while the Blazers are 4-12, coming off a great win yesterday. I did give out the plus 13 on the super high five yesterday as well too, so I hope you tailed it, because that was a good win yesterday for. That was a good cover on me, but the Blazers played really good yesterday. They kept themselves ahead of the Bucks until the fourth quarter when they got outscored by 19 points. So it happens, man. It just happens. And really, I think they got out. They got absolutely waxed in the fourth quarter, and it was just enough for the Blazers to win the game by 6. So, because I had to remember they won the game by 6 because Blazers looked like they were about to win that game yesterday. Now, when I look at my numbers here, when I look at the notes that I have in place for this game, the notes that I have here tell me this. They tell me that the Blazers are 7-9 against the spread. They're 5-4 against the spread on the road. In the month of November, they're 3-9. And then when it comes to the road being straight up, they're 2-7. And then when it comes to the over-under in 16 games, they've went under in 9 of them. The Pacers, 9-6 on the season, 9-6 against the spread, 6-4 against the spread, and straight up at home, 7-5 in November, and they are they've went over in 14 out of their 15 games to start the year. So this team is absolutely a walking over. They've been an auto bet when it comes to the over. And that's why tonight we're going to go ahead and we're just going to be very, very formful, as we like to say at the racetrack. And I'm going to go ahead and take the over 240.5 tonight. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out, and we will move forward from there. All right, so with that, we have our next game, which is going to be the Pelicans and the Jazz. And this is a battle between teams that used to be teams from New Orleans. The Jazz started in New Orleans and moved to Utah. Yeah, why would you think that the Utah would be named the Utah Jazz? Like, they came from New Orleans. This team was absolutely supposed to still be in New Orleans. Like, it would make so much sense for this team to still be the New Orleans Jazz. I always feel like they should change their name when they moved to Utah, but they were significant with the name. They liked the name. They felt that the name was a name that could still be known anywhere in the NBA. Then, you got the Pelicans 9-8. They're playing better basketball at this point, even though they ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw. But they've been better. They've been a lot better. And, let's go ahead and break down the numbers for what's going on right now. They're 10-6-1 against the spread. They're also 3-3-1 against the spread on the road. They're 7-7 in November. They're also 3-4 straight up on the road. They're also have went under in 10 out of their 17 games this year as well too. And then you got this Jazz team. They're 5-11 overall coming into the game. They're 8-8 against the spread. They're 6-2 against the spread at home. And then they're also 4-8 when in November. And when it comes down to the straight up at home, they're 4-4. And then the over-under, they've went over in 10 out of their 16 games. So the Jazz, they're a team that scores a lot of points, but they don't play great defense either. When I saw them play against the Lakers, they literally were like, okay, we're just going to go out here and hope that we don't get blown out. That's what I kind of saw, but they're not as bad as the teams that have went 1-12 this month. So with that, I'm going to do this with this game right here. I'm going to go ahead and take the points here. And who I'm going to take the points on is pretty obvious. I'm going to take the points on the Jazz. This team is really good at home, 6-2 against the spread. Why not? So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right. So we have ourselves our next game coming up, which is going to be the Clippers and the Nuggets. This is going to be the nightcap game as well too. You got a Nuggets team coming in here 11-6. You got a Clippers team 7-8, and these teams have already faced off this year a few times. So this one right here is just another way to see exactly who is the more formidable. Clippers. They beat the Clippers by 3 on the 14th of November. And so they have a 1-0 record over the Clippers. The Clippers trying to get that get back. Clippers been kind of bad the last the Clippers have not been good. Let's just keep it real. They've lost their last 3 out of 5. Their last 5 out of 8, after starting the month 4-1. Now they're sitting we'll get to that in a second, but you look at Denver's numbers. Denver's not that much better right now. I'm sorry, and I'm looking at their numbers right now as well too. It was the Nuggets who started off 4-1. Now they've actually went 3-5 since that stint. And then the Clippers, on the other hand, the Clippers lost their first 6 of the month. They've actually won their last 4 out of 5. So when I look at my notes for this game, this is what I see. I see that the Nuggets have come into this game 6-11 against the spread. They're struggling in that category. They're just trying to win basketball games. They're not worried about covering the game. Then against the spread on the road, they've been awful, 1-8. And then in November, they're 7-6. So they got to be better. They got to be much better than this. A team starts off 4-1. Now they're 7-8. Now they're 7-6 for the month. And then when it comes to over-unders, they've played 17 games. They've went under in 11 of them. So Denver is kind of pacing the same way they did in the first 6 weeks of the year last year. And then they took off. You know what I mean? They still have – it's still really tough for teams when they play them in Denver. You know what I mean? But the road woes is starting to be like, whoa, come on, guys. You guys got to get it together. Then you have the Clippers 7-8. They're 6-9 against the spread. They're 4-3 against the spread at home. In November, they've struggled. They've went 4-7 this month. And then, but like I said, they dropped the first 6 games. And now they've actually won the last 4 out of 5. So the Clippers have caught up with, some bad basketball to start the month. And then when it comes to straight up at home, they're 5-2. And then when you go ahead and you look at their over-under numbers, they've actually went under in 10 out of their 15 games this year, and they pushed once. So that's where you have it at with the Clippers. And what I'm going to do with the Clippers tonight is I think the Clippers have a great effort coming up tonight because they're going to be shorthanded. It looks like Jokic is a game-time decision as well, too. That's why we have a big number now at 7.5 as well too. And then you have no Jamal Murray tonight. So the shorthanded Nuggets just won't be good enough to me tonight to beat the Clippers. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Clippers with the 7.5. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And when we get back, we will jump into Talking Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Captain.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we're back with the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. Let's go ahead and jump into Talking Tickets. Talking Tickets, we have this. This is going to be the CBB PrimeTime PK6. We got a 65-1 ticket, plus 12.5 to Manhattan tonight. Manhattan is in their spot tonight, going against Fordham. So it's going to be a battle in the Boogie Down Bronx tonight over at the old Rose Hill Gymnasium. Then you have the 32.5 with New Hampshire going against UConn in a sturdy matchup for the New England area. But, you know, national champions going against small school. We'll see how it goes. 32.5 to New Hampshire though tonight. We got Rutgers minus 15.5. They're going against St. Peter's. I know this is always a tough game, but I think Rutgers has enough to whoop up on St. Peter's tonight. You got Northwestern. Northwestern's going against Northern Illinois tonight, so this is another interstate matchup. I think Northwestern, you know, they got the shooters. They got disciplined basketball players. They should win this game by 15 or better. Then you got Fresno State, money line minus 115. This is a pretty good game tonight. It's a very 50-50 between them and UC Santa Barbara. So I do like the minus 115 here. And then also you have Utah going at St. Mary's tonight in the late game. And I like Utah tonight to get the upset as the road team tonight as well, too, with the plus 165. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. But this is a 65-1 ticket, and we move forward from there. We have the Monday Night Football bets, which shouldn't be here, but I'm going to go ahead and just go with it. The Bears money line plus 135. We got the 2.5 Bears first half minus 110. The over 7.5 plus 100 first quarter. Then we have the Vikings under 24.5 team total minus 165. And then I'm going to rock with DJ Moore anytime touchdown plus 180. So there it is. There it is. Those are our Monday Night Football bets for that NFC North matchup. So pretty much we have ourselves our final group, which is going to be the super high five, which is 30-1 tonight. Last time we had it at 30-1, we did cash that ticket. So you know what? Do not sleep on this. This could be your winner today. First, we got the under 231 with the Lakers and the 76ers. Then we have the over 240 with the Blazers and the Pacers. And then we have the Wizards plus 125. And then the Jazz at home plus 6. And the Clippers at home minus 7.5. And that's going to give us a 30-1 ticket on our NBA super high five. So with that, that's going to be a wrap on today's show. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and everything like that. You guys are the absolute best. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and this is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And I'll be right back at you tomorrow. So you guys enjoy your day, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best.